the explosions that kill them, not even your army of skeletons. That's what I'm looking forward to. Almost as if they die from fear. Hello, Snugglebugs. Welcome back to another Hearthstone video for the month of July. We're doing card review part 2, where today we're going to be looking at the Hunter and the Mage cards today. And with that, because there's a lot to go through, I'm just going to go hop right into it. First up here for the Hunter class is the Collateral Damage. It's an 8-mana spell, deals 6 damage to 3 random enemy minions, and then the excess damage hits the opponent's face. Effectively, 3 piercing shots in one card, but they're random, and it is, say, double the mana, of course, from the normal piercing shot. This one's a tough read, I'll admit. I don't want to spend too long on each individual card, but this one, of course, potential up to removing 3 minions and up to 15 damage, because of course each one has to hit for at least 1 to a minion. I'm thinking of the Dragon Whelps from Onyxia. However, of course, because it's random, if your opponent happens to have big minions, it's possible, you know, in some cases with 8/8s this won't even kill a certain minion, and then with the other ones, you know, you can't tell if it's going to hit something. That being said, you know, still 8 mana, probably, hopefully, remove 3 minions from the board, even if it doesn't clear it. Oh, people, I don't know. I could be wrong. On my first one for Hunter here, but I actually don't think this is going to see that much play, if at all. I feel like most Quest Hunter spells are cheaper. They're, you know, in order to repeat over and over again. I feel like minion-based Hunters wouldn't play this either, because, of course, it doesn't actually play a minion. So I don't see where this fits. Maybe we'll see when it comes out. I could be wrong, but as of right now, I'm actually not rating. I wouldn't rate this one that high. So now we have Arelon, the first legendary hunter that we're going to be looking at today. This one's going to take a little bit because I am going to go over what the wild seeds are. So this is a 5 mana 4/5. Obviously not greatly statted for the individual minion, but Battlecry, summon 1 of each dormant wild seed. So we have a Fox Spirit wild seed, which is dormant for 1 turn and gains Rush, a Bear Spirit wild seed, which is dormant for 2 turns and Taunt, and then a Stag Spirit wild seed, which is dormant for 3 turns, and when it awakens, you get the 5/4 minion and the bow. Even though it's dormant, for 5 mana, you get a 4/5, 3/1, a 2/5, a 5/4, and a 4/2 weapon. And it's actually, weirdly enough, probably kind of neat and good that they're staggered over a few turns. It's like guaranteeing yourself that, like, the next turn you'll get this 3/1 with Rush, and then whatever you play that turn. And then the turn after, a 2/5 with Taunt, and whatever you play that turn. So even though it's a little tiny bit slow on the turn you play it, when you think about it, 5 mana 4/5, it's not terrible. Honestly, I think this could be a 5 mana 1/1 or 2/2 with this kind of effect and maybe still be played. So I think this is going to be in every Hunter deck. Maybe not complete face Hunter just because they might want to win by turn 5. But this card is amazing. And I'm kind of excited to build a Wild Seed deck, which would also play Wild Spirits. So Wild Spirits is a 3 mana spell, summon 2 different dormant wild seeds. You don't get to choose, it's not discover, so it would be random. But then make all of your wild seeds awaken 1 turn sooner. So if you played this, and the next turn, of course, your Fox Spirit wild seed would wake up, because it's 1 turn, then you play this after, Wild Spirits, you get 2 more first, and then all your dormant wild seeds. So if you get another Wild Seed Fox Spirit, it'll wake up that same turn. And if you had your Bear Spirit from the last turn, it'll now wake up early. And yeah, so Wild Spirits in the right deck, I think would be good. I don't think you'd ever play this without it being in a Wild Spirit deck, just because 3 mana summon, if you did get, say, the Fox and the Bear, 3 mana is barely just good enough to make those work, and then they're dormant. So probably not on its own, but with other Wild Seed cards, a really powerful addition. And on top of that, we also now have Stag Charge, which is like the Flanking Strike of old, I believe, which was maybe 4 mana, where you did 3 damage to a minion only, and then summoned a 3/3 wolf. Now you get to deal 3 damage, can be to face, mind you, this time, and then you get a dormant wild seed. So just more value. Very powerful card again. I think this one could see play in other decks because it can go face, and the extra value from the wild seed is just a plus. Frenzied Fangs is a 2 mana, summon 2 2/1 bats, infuse 3, which again, or I should say, because I think this is the first time for this video, upgrades your hand after you've had 3 minions die. So if this is your hand and 3 minions have died, you technically summon 2 3/3 bats. This would have to be likely in a super aggressive, tokeny, facey Hunter deck. I can't see this really seeing that much play. I think there's just better 2-drops, even 2 mana 2 3/3s. If you could somehow get that out on 2 or 3, yes, that's amazing, but I feel like decks that would play this would want to play things on curve, and the fact you probably don't want 2/2/1 bats on curve, yeah, I mean, it's not terrible, but I just feel like there's better options. Spirit Poacher is another dormant wild seed card. Maybe I should have flopped those around, but this is a 2-mana 2/2, and then Battlecry, summon a random dormant wild seed. So of course, if these weren't dormant, that would just be amazing. But 2/2 for 2, nothing special there. I would say, depending on the fact that it's random, so you don't get to pick, makes this feel a little bit bad. But if you're playing the entire dormant, the wild seed package, you know that you're playing for the long game. So if this is one of your first turns, you may end up, say, losing the board on this turn, but then as your turns go, so you play Stag on 3, and then your first dormant wakes up, and things like that. As things wake up, you're just getting such progressive board presence, and I think that's why this will see play in that deck. The Batty Guest, a 1/1 for 1 death rattle, summon a 2/1 bat. Now this would go in a deck that might play, say for instance, the Frenzied Fangs card. This is just a good 1/1. If it doesn't die, it stays on board, pinging them for 1. If it does, it's sticky. So even though the stats 3/2 for 1 is amazing, spread across 2 bodies, and just the fact it's sticky makes it hard to remove. If they try to do AoE because you say played Batty Guest into Frenzied Fangs and they AoE it down, you're still left with a 2/1 to ping at them with 2 extra damage. And we know that Hunter does like those type of token fast decks. So this may be one of the cards that makes Frenzied Fangs okay, and Face Hunter decks could make a comeback. K9 Otron and Batty Guest, for example, would be an amazing turn 2 play. Sorry. So Huntsman Altimor, when this was first announced, I was pretty excited about it because it's a neat card. So what it is, it's a 7-mana 5/4. Battlecry, summon a Gargon companion, which are these. Nope. Hecutus, Barghast, and Margor, which effectively are the animal companions. They're beasts and they have all the same effects, they just have different images, and it's just, I think, a flavor text thing. So it's just summon one of them, which 5/4, summon one of those, an animal companion, effectively for 7, random animal companion, not great. Like if this was just Battlecry, cast animal companion, you probably wouldn't play it, at least I wouldn't. Infuse 4, summon another. So maybe 2 would be good, and infuse 8 and another. And it has been confirmed that it will not summon duplicates, so that would allow you to potentially get all 3 of these. Now, of course, that sounds amazing. We used to have, I think it was 8 mana summon all 3 animal companions, and that was deemed pretty strong. The thing is, infuse 8, like to me, this seems like a card that would weirdly enough be like a finisher in said aggressive deck we talked about, especially with infuse 8. You want to make sure you have tons of minions, and you play it out. But you'd have to then have this in your opening hand, which means you have to hold on to it for a really long time. I think it's too awkward, so maybe in a Beast Hunter with a lot of Death Rattle tokeny stuff. I don't see a home for this right now, is my opinion. And, you know, I guess maybe time will tell, but I don't think this is going to be a shining card in this expansion. Stonebound Gorgon, on the other hand, is a 4-mana 3/5 that I actually think will be in the expansion quite a bit. It's a beast, so it fits well into the Beast Hunter because it's a 4-mana beast that goes into with, say, your pet collector. And then it's a 3/5 with the rush, so if you do summon it just as is, obviously it doesn't have the 4 attack like some of the other ones, but that's not bad. And then if it is in your hand, and you know, or you get it, say, off your Harpoon Gun, so it costs 1, and it becomes a infused for 3, then it has the cleave effect, which means it effectively could do 9 damage, which early game, you know, could be really well. So I think this could go in a Beast Hunter or in that token beast that I was talking about, as if this was in your hand and you played the Batty and then the Frenzied Fangs, and you got this infused, and your opponent was trying to come up with a board to kind of counter you. You play Stonebound Gorgon, clear their board, because at that point most of their minions would only have a 3 health. Then you just push face with everything, and this kind of becomes your protector, your protecting unit, versus the rushing aspect, which would be in Beast Hunter. I think this one is going to see a lot of play in multiple Beast Hunter decks. And last but not least for Hunter, we have the Castle Kennels, which is the location. 2 mana, has 3 durability. Give a friendly minion +2 attack, and if it's a beast, give it rush. It goes on the board in a minion slot. Your opponents, unless certain cards specifically say they cannot deal or they cannot interact with location cards, and then every turn, how it works is you get to activate it to lose the durability only once per turn. And so what this means is if you did play this down on 2, and then you played another Beast, Mountain Bear. So you play this on 2, Harpoon Gun, let's say on 3, gives you your Mountain Bear for 4. You play Mountain Bear, then you can use this on that same turn, because it costs no mana to activate it once the location is played. You give your Mountain Bear +2 attack and rush, so it becomes a 7/6 with rush. I know that's probably like the optimum thing that you're looking for, just based on your mana curve, but I think this is going to be very strong. It's good, and even better with beasts, so it's going to be played a lot. If you're enjoying our discussions here, like, comment, subscribe, let me know. But with that, we're going to go look at the Mage cards. And up first for Mage, we have the Chatty Bartender, which is a 4-mana 4/4. At the end of your turn, if you control a secret, deal 2 damage to all enemies. So there is a few things we'll go through that have some secret synergy. And of course, it's a cost 4 mana. You potentially play this the turn after you play a secret on turn 3, which means that it could potentially have some good value. Now, there was a card that used to exist that was a 2-mana, I believe it was a 2-mana 2/3, that every time you played a secret while it was on board, you did 2 damage to everything. And that saw some play in decks that cheated out cheap secrets. So this could work. As of right now, obviously, we don't see that many secrets played. I can't really tell how well it's going to do. I'm hoping it does good. I've always liked secret mage decks. I'm definitely going to give it a shot. But as of right now, I don't think this one currently sounds like it's going to fit the bill. Orion, the Mansion Manager, I added the because it just to me makes more sense, is a 4-mana 3/5 legendary mage card that after a friendly secret is revealed, cast a different mage secret and gain +2/+2. Now, I believe quite strongly that this is just a random secret, not from your deck, nothing. It's just a random mage secret, and the idea is if you, again, play a secret on 3 that doesn't get procced, you play this on 4, hoping that your opponent has to try to, play around it, if it's minion-based, spell-based, whatever. If they unsuccessfully don't play around it, then all of a sudden this becomes a 5/7, and you get a new secret that they then have to play around, and it would just snowball from there the more and more they don't guess it right. A 4-mana 3/5 isn't the worst statted minion, and it makes your opponent really have to care about proccing your secrets, which could mean that they play suboptimally. So if the secret package in this expansion or future expansions is good enough, I feel like this card will be a build-around card, hands down. I love it. I'm excited to give it a shot. Let me know what you think. Next up here, we have Suspicious Alchemist, which is a 1-mana 1/3 mage minion. Battlecry, discover a spell, and then if your opponent guesses correctly, like what you picked, they get a copy. Pretty sure then it basically lets your opponent try to choose out of that same discover pool what you picked, and then if they picked right, they get a copy. So I like this. It's both an early minion that you can play. It gives you value, and it's kind of fun because, like, do you pick the best card because your opponent will try to get a copy of the best card, or do you try to pick the one your opponent least suspects you to pick? And it just adds that bit of actual interactivity with your opponent that I love when cards do so much. The flavor of this card, just beautiful. The 2-mana spell called Solid Alibi. Until your next turn, your hero can only take 1 damage at a time, and the alibi is that they can't move because they're frozen to their seat. And as much as I love the flavor of the card, admit I'm not looking forward to it. Whenever there's cards, the one that used to give Rogue Stealth or Ice Block for Mage, I know this one's different, which means if your opponent has, like, say, a bunch of 1 damage tokens or pings or anything like that, it technically does nothing. But I just feel like there's always too much promise in these types of damage mitigation-y spells. Frozen Touch, without the reasons, I think it's going to be super good, super powerful. 2 mana, deal 3 damage spells are just almost always amazing. Add the fact that infuse 3 add a Frozen Torch to your hand means that you can potentially keep cycling this. They have a new sort of, I don't know if you call it mechanic, but I'm going to call it a mechanic, archetype maybe, that's coming up in here that's going to allow you to constantly be getting minions over and over again. So it actually will let you potentially cycle these Frozen Touches over and over and over. And that's probably one of the decks I'm the most excited to play at the Murder of Castle Nathria. And let's go look at some of those other cards so I can maybe explain in a bit more detail. Here's one. Cold Case. A 4-mana spell. Summon 2 2/2 volatile skeletons and gain 4 armor. So the gain 4 armor, as we know, maybe 1 mana. In Warrior, there's literally a card that's better than that for 1 mana. Summon 2 2/2s. Not that great either, honestly, for 4. But the thing here is volatile skeletons are not just 2/2s. They are 2/2s that then deal 2 damage to a random enemy when they die, which means that this effectively is just, and it's random enemy. so it can be face. I think the Volatile Skeleton package, I guess, archetype, is what I'm looking forward to, and that is sort of one of the things I'm talking about with Frozen Touch that may allow for a lot more minions. So here is the location for the both for Mage and for the Volatile Skeleton archetype that I'm looking forward to. So you play this down for 3, and on the turn you play it, and then again, more turns, you can freeze a minion, which is good, slows them down, and gives you that Volatile Skeleton. So now we're already seeing multiple cards that summon you multiple minions. So like 2 of these, for instance, in your deck is actually 6 minions. 2 of Cold Case is actually 4 minions versus 2, so you can see where I'm getting at, where there's going to be a ton of minions dying to infuse your Frozen Touches. Then we have the new AoE Deathborn for Mage, a 6 mana Frost spell, deal 2 damage to all minions, and then summon a 2/2 Volatile Skeleton for each killed. Now, one of the interesting thing here is that's to all minions, which at first it's like, well, that sucks, it's going to hit our own. However, if you hit your own volatile minions with this, it'll kill them, which then summons more volatile skeletons afterwards, and then each volatile skeleton that you killed will do that 2 extra damage to a random enemy, and then obviously resummon itself. This to me is both an AoE. Killing your own volatile skeletons is actually a bonus. If you kill your opponents, it's even more of a bonus because you get more volatile skeletons. And yeah, this is one of the cards, plus the legendary, which we'll be reviewing very shortly, that makes me both think this deck is going to be good, fun, and the one I'm probably going to be playing on day 1 of the expansion release. Speaking of, we have Kel'Thuzad the Inevitable, and this is an 8 mana 6/8 Battlecry. Resurrect your volatile skeletons, and then any that can't fit on the battlefield instantly explode. So now, to word it properly, effectively that means that they would gain their death rattle, dealing 2 damage. So this of itself is 1 minion, so even if you play this on an empty board, as we've just described, it should be relatively easy to get out at least 6 volatile skeletons, which means this becomes a 6/8 that summons 12/12 worth of stats spread across the board that also deal damage when they die for death rattle. However, say you've summoned 12 volatile skeletons, maybe sounds a bit ridiculous, but possible. Not only do you get that board, but the extra 6 that can't fit die and deal 12 damage just to random enemies across the board. And this is going to be the big late game bomb that is just going to be just amazing. I don't know. I'm looking forward to the highlights we have where you just play Kel'Thuzad and it's the explosions that kill them, not even your army of skeletons. That's what I'm looking forward to. Almost as if they die from fear. To go along with the secret package, so the last card we're reviewing here today is the Vengeful Visage. It is a 3 mana Mage secret that after an enemy minion attacks your hero, you summon a copy of it, and it then attacks the enemy hero. So this to me is going to hopefully be good. It adds to Mage secrets that currently are in standard something that isn't there, which is attacking the hero, which is something people used to do to, try to proc your ice barrier. And now they'll be like, oh, it's ice barrier, so I'm going to attack, and then when they hit your face, you get a copy of said minion, which is good, depending on what that minion is. And then it also attacks the enemy face. I would say the only time this wouldn't be good is if they somehow manage to hit you with a, say, 2/2 or 3/3 or less, something around the cheap mark. But even then you'd be looking at a 3 mana, deal 3 damage to your opponent, and get yourself a minion that they then have to deal with, which happens after they attack your face, which means they can't deal with it with the current minion they're attacking with. All in all, for Hunter, I'm very excited about the Wild Seeds. For Mage, I'm excited both about the secrets, even though I'm not sure if there's enough there just yet, but I'm excited to try it, but especially the volatile skeletons. Let me know in the comments down below what you're excited for, especially out of these 2 classes, but about anything. And thank you very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.